for any slips.
The Leicester side then, and it sees Graham Rowntree at prop after a fine display, another one against Leeds last week. Jim Richards stays at hooker. Dorian West not quite making it back 2 weeks after a knee operation. Darren Morris stays at tight head. Julian White's recovery from his knee op will take much longer, threatening his Six Nations involvement. Martin Johnson back at lock with England partner Ben Kay. Will Johnson is in the back row with skipper Neil Back. And the number 8 is Henry Tuilangi, who got rave reviews from Dean Richards for his efforts in the Leeds match. Austin Healey is the scrum half, and his new partner, Andy Goode, back at the club after a turbulent time at Saracens. The centres are England hopeful Ollie Smith, and a man who's fallen out of the England picture but still a favourite here, Leon Lloyd. Freddie Tuilangi, older brother of Henry, is on one wing, so 2 sets of brothers today for Leicester, with the Johnsons both playing, and Neil Baxter is on the other wing, and another new signing, Jacco van der Westhuizen, is at full-back. Gloucester, like Leicester, without an England tight head. Phil Vickery missing with a rib injury, but his World Cup final fellow prop Trevor Woodman does start. Chris Forty is at hooker, sent off last week versus Quins for fighting, and Andy Deacon completes the front row, now in his 39th year. Mark Cornwall gets his chance today with the ever-present Alex Brown at lock. Jake Ball, the captain, wearing 6 but playing open side. Peter Buxton does the reverse. And at number 8, Junior Paramore, having missed a large section of the season with a broken arm. Andy Gummersall missed matches during the World Cup, but he's back now to find Duncan McRae of Australia at number 10. Henry Paul and Robert Todd, the centre combination. No room currently for Terry Fanalua. And on the wings, James Simpson-Daniel back to his best, and the ever-threatening Marcel Garvey. And at fullback, John Goodridge returns. Tina Stelport having damaged his knee last week, and he will be sadly missing now until the end of the season. Well, Gloucester won the meeting at Kingsholm by 24 points to 3 on the 5th weekend of the Premiership campaign. Now this is a different matter altogether. The big names are back and the stakes much higher. 2/3 of the league campaign will have gone come the final whistle tonight. There's a look at the replacements. Luke Myring for Leicester, retraining as a scrum half, while Harry Ellis is out suspended. And for Gloucester, they're familiar now, 5 forward, 2 back split. The conditions, well, it's chilly, no doubt about that. But the pitch looks pretty good. It has cut up, but it has been worse at this time of the year, no doubt about that. And here comes Jake Ball with his team. Just 1 win in their last 12 on this pitch. It's not a record to be proud of.
Well, Gloucester have got to be telling themselves that Leicester have lost their aura of invincibility here and that they can win. The question marks, though, are in Gloucester's heads as well. There's some gremlins on the road again. Last year, they seemed to dismiss them. That took them to the top of the regular season. At the moment, those gremlins are back. They've got to eradicate them quickly.
But they have lost all those games at Leicester, yet they can look at having won the last 3. One on a neutral ground in the Cup semi-final last season, 2 at Kingsholm. The Tigers have just one aim now, between now and the end of the season, and that is to improve their league position to the best possible spot and see how far that takes them. They could have already missed out on the top 3. Many believe they have. But Dean Richards said this week it's still on. They will need a lot of luck. But if they can win the matches that remain, another slip up, they will be in the shake-up at the final gasp. They've just had their worst calendar year of results for 46 years. It's a long way short of the standards that have been set here for so long. 9th in the table this time, though. Neil Back leading his side out onto the pitch. And the capacity crowd in good voice.
Well, Neil Back, of course, has achieved the ultimate as a rugby player. He's got a World Cup winner's medal, but he's such a competitive character that he will really want to follow in the footsteps of Martin Johnson as a Leicester captain and emulate the success, and he's got to keep winning right now if he's going to achieve that.
Andy Goode back in Leicester Tigers colours after that spell at Saracens, and a good performance against Leeds from him as well. Our referee is Roy Maybank. What a start to the year for these two famous clubs. Over the next 4 weeks they will battle for their European lives in the Heineken Cup. Over the next fortnight for Leicester it's Ulster home and away, for Gloucester it's Munster home and away. And before all of that, the small matter of this Zurich Premiership match, which means so much to both. And there's Goode just booming the ball back towards Gloucester. Effective start from him. And this is interesting. To Ilangi. Goode. McRae was covering, doesn't have to play it. He is a wonderfully talented player.
And there's no doubt at all, Leicester have had problems at half-back for quite some time. Since losing Andy Goode, really. Austin Healy, a maverick of a player, but he flits in and out of games. I think Healy can improve, being tied to the pack, playing a structured role at 9, and Andy Goode has the more traditional virtues at 10, and Leicester need them.
Of course, Healy was wanted to play fly half when Goode was here at Leicester, which was an irritant, I'm sure, to Goode. But Austin, maybe one of the reasons why he went to Saracens.
Healy never quite got that mental tightness to his game, did he, as a 10?
Talking about tightness, here goes the Gloucester pack, and what a start they made, driving Leicester towards that halfway line. But there's an offside against Garvey in front of the kicker, Gummersall.
Scrum or kick? Kick is there. In front of the kick, offside. Scrum or kick? Captain, please.
The option given to
just make sure we've got the right voice.
Neil Back.
In front of the kicker, guys.
Well, Marcel Garvey, as you can see, is a fraction offside. It's tight, but I think they're absolutely right.
And they take the kick with Goode. Will he go for goal? He will. Ramiro Pérez, who've been wearing the number 10 jersey. Certainly in the match that we covered in the Heineken Cup against the Dragons, Pérez had a good game and was starting to come into form, but still things to work on, according to Dean Richards. So Pérez goes away to work on those things, and Andy Goode becoming available, released by Saracens, snapped up by his former club, and 14 points last week on his return. It's a long way out, but for this man, it's within his range. Oh, and it was as close as that, just falling short. Well, Leon Lloyd was inside the Gloucester 22 with that charge down. And they'll be called back again as we look at the replay. Ooh, and that was close.
No more than a foot.
Two attempts by Gloucester to take it quickly, both denied. One by Lloyd, one by the referee. Here's McRae.
Good, okay.
Marco van der Westhuizen was given an awful lot to this back line since he's joined the club. Leicester, in fact, the only side in the Premiership not to score a try from full-back this season. We'll be looking to change that.
Well, certainly picked sufficient lines to suggest he will score a number of tries for Leicester. Question of can they get their back play going well enough? Can their forwards deliver ball today?
McRae. This is Todd. Had to stop on the pass, and therefore Garvey was just being lined up by Freddie Tuilangi, but Garvey got away from him. And Gummersall gives it to Henry Paul and McRae as they swap positions, the fly half and centre, and it doesn't work, but still might. Bit of fortune there as Cornwall goes through for Gloucester. Woodman with him as well, tackled by Baxter. McRae to Henry Paul. Little chip meant for himself, and the referee goes back for a previous penalty.
14, not moving.
Neil Baxter failing to roll away. He made the tackle and then was still clinging onto the legs.
Number 14. Moving
Well, it's interesting, you know, because I think Leon Lloyd took Henry Paul out off the ball there, and it's considerably easier chance of kicking a goal than where we are from here. Gloucester had some numbers there, and Maybank decided that it was an accidental collision. It looked as if he knew what he was doing. Clever little chip from Paul. Watch Leon Lloyd. He's taken him out there, and that's almost in front. And that's a pretty cynical foul there. Clever chip from Henry Paul, and there you can see that is a penalty, and it's far closer than the penalty we've gone back for. Not the smartest piece of refereeing.
There's one of the smartest kickers around, Henry Paul. But not that time, so a miss from Paul and a miss from Andy Good. So perhaps he needed the easier kick. And at the end of the match, that could be a telling point, all three. McRae. Tuilagi with the catch, didn't call for the mark. Gave it to Van der Westhuizen, who thumped the ball inside Gloucester territory. South Africa's loss, isn't he?
Yeah, I just think in quite a few high balls from both McRae and Gomersall so far. It's a misty, slippery day, and I think Tuilagi and Baxter will be targeted by the Gloucester halfbacks.
Cornwall again off the top of that line out. Good work by the second row. Here comes Garvey. Tuilagi. Garvey somehow managed to concentrate. Gomersall, McRae, Paul, Simpson-Daniel. Exciting talent, and away from the first man. Junior Paramore doesn't have the room to work, and almost came a cropper there on the pitch covers, being taken off when we arrived at the ground this morning to protect the pitch from any overnight frost.
And there's Tuilagi like a raging bull, and there's the matador Marcel Garvey. It looks great when Tuilagi makes those hits, but he doesn't half leave his team exposed, because he really is open to somebody just beating him and going.
The man, take his support man out in 15. Take his support man out.
So Gloucester giving away the penalty at the line out there, and it's going to be some contest between Johnson of Kay of England and Leicester, and Alex Brown, who's played every game for his new club Gloucester this season, and Mark Cornwall, who gets his chance today with Eustace left out. Those two have been rotating. I think Eustace has had a bigger share of the pie, but Brown has been the ever-present, and he's played really well in the Premiership this season. He'll be licking his lips at this contest. But it's Leicester on the attack here, thanks to Andy Good's kick, thrown by Richards to Kay. Johnson trying to get it moving. Austin Healy pointing out to the referee, and the referee obliges. Advantage being played. It goes back to Andy Good for the free drop goal attempt, and then the whistle as that goes wide.
Listen to me. No, you didn't listen. I said out, you didn't listen. You stayed in there.
Peter Buxton was penalised.
Coming round the side.
Well, I'd imagine 8 minutes into the game, Leicester will probably say to Andy Good, kick the 3 points. It will have crossed Neil Back's mind that they could actually go for the jugular and look for something a bit more, and in fact Back is being very positive in his captaincy here, and I think it's purely coincidental that Neil Back is almost inevitably the man at the end of these catch and drives.
I'm absolutely certain Neil Back won't know of this statistic. He only deals in what really matters, but he's one away from his 50th Premiership try for his club. It does show how many he's got over the years, but he won't get one from this line out.
On by green hand.
That's frustrating. You can see that Back's unhappy as he struts back to the scrum, annoyed by the wasted chance.
Yeah, well, when we saw them play the Dragons in the European Cup, a number of opportunities from 5-metre line-outs were wasted. Missed Dorian West there, not just for his accuracy, but for the way he tidies his up. That was a sloppy piece of play.
Far side to change your angle, you're straight in on him. Went there and went in.
And the whole plot unravels as Graham Rowntree is penalised at that scrum. And McRae makes good ground there at the touchline. Not the best angle, and the Australian kicking well.
You can see Roy Maybank making his mark on the game. 5 penalties in less than 10 minutes, 1 every 2 minutes. Hopefully the players will listen, and hopefully Roy Maybank will relax as well, because cold day like this, you don't want the staccato game with a whistle dominating. No problem with early penalties, but just get the players playing and just let the game flow from there on.
Chris Forty has a hearing on Tuesday following his fight with Jim Evans of Harlequins last week when he was sent off. Suppose it could be his last match for a while. Simpson Daniel is chasing, so is Henry Paul from Gummersel's kick. And he's solid, he's firm, he's Jaco van der Westhuizen.
Too much length there from Andy Gomersall, and you can see van der Westhuizen wasn't going to let Baxter get under that ball. He made it his. It's the full-back's domain, claimed the ball, and he fires a superb kick,
which Paramore fields and pushes forwards. The crowd want a scrum for the knock-on. They're denied by the officials, but it's still live, and it's Tuilagi again. This is Henry Tuilagi. A revelation to Dean Richards after that Leeds game at number 8, and he kept the shirt. This is Andy Good back in a Leicester shirt.
It was a loose pass from Healy to Good, took the sting out of any counter there.
Then Healy prevented from passing as Gloucester go through offside.
No hands on the ball. No.
Jake Moore trying to put the pressure on as he always does.
Well, there you can see Paramore. He's all right because he's in the air there, but that ball clearly goes forward onto Andy Gomersall's leg.
That back foot, okay?
That's a knock-on, and then it's back off Gomersall. You can almost argue that he knows. Look, that's gone forward. Gomersall almost plays that. It's half a case there for a penalty at the very least.
For offside, yeah.
But at the least it's a knock-on, isn't it?
Garvey. Van der Westhuizen. Maybe that evens out the Henry Paul kick, and he should have had an easier attempt. Poor old John Goodrich there looked like he'd laid an egg. And Andy Gomersall just puts the ball out under all kinds of pressure. That wasn't the best catch from the Gloucester fullback. Still only 22, still learning. Jaco van der Westhuizen has made these look easy. John Goodrich.
I'm afraid
that one for breakfast in the morning.
His eye went off the ball, didn't it? Johnson, beady-eyed, locked onto the ball. Leicester will just want to get a drive on here, build a bit of momentum.
Especially in view of what happened in the opening couple of minutes when Gloucester clearly had the drive on. Leicester will still be smarting from that. Both of these clubs with amazing forward traditions, and they will enjoy this aspect of the match like they do every time that they meet. Trying to regroup, Morris and Richards for Leicester. Benkei has the ball somewhere in the middle of all of that and is trying to force it back now, which he does to Healy, Andy Good, Tuilagi, Freddie Tuilagi in front of the kicker again. He was offside. Gomersall. And Tuilagi left his position on the wing, and Gomersall, very aware of that, put the ball exactly where the winger had come from. Van der Westhuizen chasing his own kick. McRae, good catch, but was Van der Westhuizen taken out? Andy Good. Well, takes them on, but then runs into trouble. Had a chance to clear there. There were 3 Gloucester players waiting to make the tackle. Leicester got the support there quickly, and they needed to. And the supporting players have helped out Good there. And Ollie Smith. McRae.
Come back, Red!
Van der Westhuizen, he touched that with his boot. Referee calls yes.
Come back, Green! 12 back!
Oh, and Gomersall getting in a mix there. Goodrich. He sliced that. Well, who's going to bring an end to this or open up? Andy Good. And listen to the cheer. Now, at the start of that move, was there a late challenge here or an obstruction on Van der Westhuizen?
Well, unless Deacon's got eyes in the back of his head, the answer has to be no. Quite clearly that was no penalty there. You can see, look, he's watching the ball. Jacco van der Verstegen gives him a shove in the back. Nothing there.
Deacon improves at that line out. And here's the old man of the team, the oldest player in the Premiership. And he'll have to get back to his feet and dig deep again at another one of these scrums. So what about the weights of the two packs? Hardly anything in it. Ramsey versus Deacon, they met many times. Woodman against Morris, England versus Wales. Picked up by Tuilagi, he's burst off the base of that scrum. It's a good tackle by Simpson Daniel, but boy, did he have to make it. And that little pop pass from Healy to make extra ground, sucking a few Gloucester defenders. Ollie Smith. That's the Gloucester 22. And Leicester will put in again.
Leave it!
Starting to dominate in terms of territory, Leicester. As Austin Healy. Just making a couple of points there. Feeling that Deacon was round the wrong side. Here's Simpson Daniel making a very good tackle. Gloucester's England place, if you remember, because he went too high on Dennis Delan, and Phil Larders always want to be very quick on someone who misses a tackle, and Simpson Daniel seems to have learnt his lesson, going very low, using his strength to drive up into the bigger men and dump them.
He's worked very hard at that. And year on year he seems to bulk out and get bigger. He's not a tall man, but he's a very powerful player indeed. And he's gone to his side again. Initially, now Andy Good tries the break through the middle. A little bit telegraphed, but he knew that he was basically gaining just a couple of metres to keep the attack going. Which Neil Back does to get the ball to Healy. And Baxter.
Gloucester forwards have done well there. Drove Baxter back.
A lot of power in this Gloucester defence, and we've seen it on more than one occasion already today. And Andy Gummersall takes that quick tap. Todd, not 10 metres.
There's a seat over there, okay?
That's a warning, but no card.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because we saw Ashley Rowden in a very similar situation about the same stage of the game. Send for a yellow card there, and this game is a little bit fractious and bitty at the moment, and if players are committing infringements, then there's nothing wrong with it. You can see, I'm not back 10, he's told he's not back, and there's the penalty.
Chris 40, Steve Brotherston still out with the knee injury, so Gloucester could do without losing 40. He's disciplinary here if that's what happens. But he's involved in this match. And here's McRae going for a drop goal. He lined that one up and he liked it straight away. Duncan McRae, very deliberate. Excellent finish from him.
It's a classy drop goal. He's got the time, puts the ball in a perfect position and gets immediate elevation on it. No chance of a charge down there from Neil Back. A perfectly struck drop goal, 3-0 to Gloucester.
First points of the afternoon then to Duncan McRae.
That's got great hang time on that one as well.
And Martin Johnson gets the ball back. Bit of previous between him and McRae, of course. And McRae was a Saracens player. Two former Saracen fly halves on the field. Gummersall, the scrum half. 2-1 of them. Duncan McRae. Simpson Daniel, awful lot to do from there. Baxter and Lloyd across to make the tackle and the flag up.
Plenty of ambition there from Gloucester. McRae and Gummersall throwing big passes. They're trying to give their quick men space to work in. McGarvey and Simpson Daniel, it's not a bad policy.
Let him down.
Worth making the point that this match was sold out a month before. Many fans knew the World Cup will be here to be paraded after the match. This one always a sellout.
And stay there, please.
Leicester putting in plans to expand the capacity. NK. And Sports Friendly Council. I would have thought they'll get their plans passed. And there'll be over 20,000 before we know where we are. Good work by the forwards. Will Johnson there just clearing away for Healy. Now Healy with a little chip in behind. Pressure on Simpson-Daniel here. And he called for the mark. And his voice clear to the referee. Neil Baxter was coming out. He's been a finisher since he arrived at the club, Neil Baxter. No chance that time. It's given to McRae. And it worked.
There's no doubt one or two of the Leicester players are going to target Duncan McRae. He's a volatile character. We've seen that throughout his career, but he's also a very talented outside half, and he's a man who really does relish competition.
I want you in a set, please. Hang on.
Here's Jim Richards. Good to see Richards back in the Leicester pack.
No, guys. Hang on. I'm about to tell you if you give me a second. You, hooker, you stay on the mark, don't step to one side. Okay? Green, I want you in and set. Okay? You don't worry, I'm not going to do you. I'm not going to do it for numbers if they come in late. I might even free kick you for not getting here. Get in and set. Good gap.
Roy Maybank. And that's Ben Kay. And out the back to Healy, to Good. And then Ollie Smith comes through. This is what he does so well. Ollie Smith. That is a beauty. Time and time again, this man impresses. Surely an England career beckons for Ollie Smith. How well does he read it here? And beautiful. Take nothing away from Andy Good either.
Andy Good has just gone across one pace, but he's just pulled them enough, and Smith has picked the line, and it's a beautiful line indeed. But I think he's a must to start for England in the Six Nations. I think he should have gone to the World Cup. He's certainly one for the future. The basics done well by Good, but Smith was dynamite.
And a simple conversion for Andy Good, who helped unlock the door, but it was Ollie Smith who came charging through it. 2 tries in the match we saw against the Dragons, and another one already here today. And it was a memorable score. Leicester leading 7-3 then. And that their reply to the McRae drop goal. Let's take another look.
Ollie Smith there. He's out and then he's in. And he's through.
But Gloucester back on the attack. Paramore protects his scrum half Gummersall. Now what can they do in the back line? Goodridge out to Garvey. Tuilangi's coming across, and that is a super tackle. Freddie Tuilangi not going for the big barging, dangerous challenge on so many occasions, but that time he went for the legs and took his man down. Leicester are going forward. They're going to get the put in.
Well, we can see now that Ollie Smith try again. He picks the line really well, but I've got to say, Henry Paul's line doesn't half open it up there. Smith coming one way. Henry Paul, look at his line. He's gone 1 metre too far. And Smith says, open the door and I'll bolt through it. 7 points. Great stuff from Smith, but Henry Paul there did not step in on his man.
Missed no action, just a reset scrum.
Bind up. Let's go.
Healy. Henry Tuilangi. Healy. Good.
Wait, Green!
Looks happy to be back. Look at the angle he's put on that kick. That's a crackerjack too from Andy Good. Goodridge from the quick line out. Good sensible play from Gloucester. Didn't allow Leicester to build a position. Van der Westhuizen. Gummersall needs a long pass. McRae.
Wait there, please, 13.
Will Johnson is trying to get across, but Duncan McRae has pinned Leicester back with a fine kick of his own. This was the original kick in this section of action from Andy Good.
Almost put that ball on the outside of his right boot, didn't he? It was an absolutely fantastic kick. Both Good and McRae are finding some good angles and distance with their kicking. It's a pretty smart play from both 10s at the moment.
Gloucester just 1 away win in their last 8. That was against Harlequins in October. And in 2003, only one away try bonus point. They have struggled again on their travels. That used to be the case. Went away for a while, but it's come back quite alarmingly. And Leicester have a penalty here.
Come round the side.
Really struggled in general, didn't they, Leicester? All the way through 2003. 16 wins, 16 losses, 1 draw. Not what you'd expect from Leicester.
No, there's been a bit of revisionism, hasn't there? We've heard that Leicester have suffered with their World Cup players missing. Well, here's one of their World Cup men back, Ben Kay, with a wonderful touch. But as you say, Miles, it wasn't the World Cup last year. Leicester have been struggling for a season and a half, with or without their best players. The motivation went, I think, after 2 Europe, 4 leagues. Question mark about the mentality now.
Neil back to Andy Good, little show of the ball. Just to back up that point, Leicester's try bonus point against Leeds, their first of the season in their last game out. But they've got a try already this afternoon. First landmark is to win this one. It's going to be tight. And it promises as much as a contest between these two. Goodrich.
Ooh, that's off the outside of the boot, and that's given a lot of territory up there.
It's gone out the ground.
It's another ball, don't worry. Leicester are kicking a lot, but they're kicking quite well at the moment, aren't they? Finding spaces behind Gloucester's wings.
Line-out's working well, as you'd expect, with the players on the field. Until then,
you've cursed Henry Paul's goal kicking, and now you've done the line-out, Harrison.
Well, you were making a habit of it at Vicarage Road. I just thought I'd even it up.
Well, this is a shocker from Jim Richards, isn't it, really? That's an awfully long way crooked.
Come up a little bit. No, hold there. Right, hang on a second. Stay up. Come up. Time off for a second, please. Up you come. You, stop creating the gap. Okay, hang on, wait. You, I want you down and holding, otherwise I'm going to free kick you. You understand me? Hang on. Time on. Wait for me to move, gentlemen.
Players want to get on with it, referee. The players want to get on with it.
Yes, it was notepads at the ready there, wasn't it? And really, the players, all they wanted was just a scrum, and
come up, guys. It's come up.
not really got us anywhere.
Right across.
You're going to talk a lot as a referee. Sometimes you've got to act too, and not just blowing whistles. If the penalties are there, you've got to do something about it.
They've given the free kick here. Roy Maybank and Trevor Woodman was taking exception to something there.
No, not behind me.
You hear the reaction of the crowd now. They just feel he's not allowing this game to flow.
Frustration building. There's Roundtree. Healy. Good. Henry Tuilangi. Good again. He's going for a drop goal. He's pulled it. Wasn't too far away. Had a snap at it. Worth a go, he thought. Especially at 7-3. That would have been building the lead quite nicely. Out to 10-3. But the pressure was on from Gloucester there. They got in front of the man.
Yeah, but again, Austin Healy's pass was very high to Andy Good, and it checked him, and it really did limit the possibilities of any back play.
Here comes Van der Westhuizen on the charge from full back. And he was stopped just. Leon Lloyd likes that outside line. Freddie Tuilangi.
At the moment, Garvey's up on Tuilangi, isn't he? Physically up in front and in defence.
Roundtree. Healy. Good. Goes for the chip when he had men outside, but Baxter's going after this. He's well picked up by Goodrich, and he skates round and keeps himself in play and then blasts the ball back, but nearly blasted too far there. Would have gone dead. It would have been a scrum all the way back from where it left the boot of John Goodrich. Not a bad reply though from Jaco van der Westhuizen. Although the flag doesn't really reflect the distance that the fullback thought he got.
Well, I think Goodrich has done absolutely brilliantly here, hasn't he? He's got no time to play with. He's got no angle. He's hit a ball beautifully on his left foot. Skips around Baxter. Look at that, with a metre to work in. He's made 60-65 metres. Brilliant play from the Gloucester fullback.
9 starts this season for Gloucester, 8 in the Premiership before today. And he's certainly a young player that is growing in confidence, John Goodrich. Benefited from Delport being away at the World Cup. This is ball back with Gloucester, and it's McRae going for a second drop goal, but not one of his better ones, and it was ambitious, a long, long way out. It's gone dead as well.
It, no problem.
It's in vogue at the moment. 4 attempted drop goals in the first half an hour. That one was never on the cards. A strange passage of play. Martin Johnson won a loose throw-in and then was turned over himself, and then we had that nonsense of an attempted drop goal. That was not a distinguished 30 seconds.
Winger right back.
Good. Bouncing over the head of Gummersall. England World Cup squad member. And therefore medal holder. Good again. Vital 10 minutes then before the interval here. Saying at the top of the game, what a month in store for both of these clubs. Irish challenges for Leicester and Gloucester. Just to go to Ulster next weekend in the Heineken Cup. You can see that live on Sky Sports. And Gloucester renew their old rivalry with Munster. They're at Kingsholm, also live on Sky Sports. And then the reverse matches the following week. It's relentless, isn't it?
It is, and neither side will want to go into Europe with a loss. And here's why Leicester lead at the moment. Ollie Smith out and then in, and he really does have good pace, doesn't he? He doesn't look that quick, but he covers the ground. Just out and in. There you go. That's beautiful. Henry Paul really needed to read that quickly and step in. Got the pace to go outside the drift. It's a super try by the centre.
Cornwall leaping early, and then Alex Brown trying to resurrect the situation. Just a hint of that going forward. Paul, little show of the ball, that's a dummy, which in the end for Garvey, his own man.
Okay. Stay back, stay back.
Must have it. Good, there is space, but it ricochets off Deacon's boots. Picked up by Neil Back.
Hold up.
Goes forward with the tackle. Brown is there too.
Case playing well today.
Healy. Van der Westhuizen. With Van der Westhuizen and Good, they will relish a kicking battle.
Line.
And with Ben Kay going well up the line out,
Step, please, step, hang
they
on.
won't mind the ball going into touch if they're throwing in at least.
Come off, please, come off, please.
Didn't really have the best World Cup final, did he, Ben Kay? But he's exploded on the international scene. A high-class, a world-class second-row forward and a real thorn in the Gloucester side at the moment. That's good ball.
From Ball down to Gummersall and then McRae and Robert Todd going through the first challenge of Ollie Smith. Gummersall again, Henry Paul. Simpson Daniel scored some good tries of late. He's going for another here. Jake Ball, well, that's carrying the ball really well. Henry Tuilangi was there, but Jake Ball's a strong man too, and he made sure that he rolled the right way. Henry Paul again, Duncan McRae, Trevor Woodman, he likes the ball in his hands. McRae again, tackled by Ollie Smith, but it's still Gloucester ball. Gummersall, good snappy pass off the floor there to Garvey. Henry Paul to James Simpson Daniel. There's a hand that comes in from Tuilangi. It's certainly a knock-on, and it's deemed deliberate by the referee.
No, it wasn't. There was cover there. There was cover there.
And Jake Ball has that look on his face as if to say, how about a yellow card then, if that was cynical in your view?
Shush. Thank you.
Well, I think that's a good point, because this is a great try-scoring opportunity. Simpson Daniel gets the ball, and Tuilangi now slaps that ball down. There's 1, 2, 3 men. You know, that's a penalty, that's deliberate. Then, frankly, that should be the yellow card. He's not attempted to catch that ball, and there are 3 men outside.
No, if I think it's cynical, you're gone. Right?
Oh, well, what is that then?
There's a fine line between deliberate and cynical. I know it's semantics, but...
A dictionary next Christmas for Mr. Maybank, because he's got that one wrong, I'm afraid. It's a scrum. It's a scrum if he's accidentally knocked it on.
Here's the penalty from Henry Paul. At least Gloucester get the 3 points. They were well positioned for a try.
That's a poor piece of refereeing. Gloucester deserved the kick there. And it's a good kick from Henry Paul.
So 1 point between the two teams. The ball stayed in the air a good while. Knocked on, Leicester put in.
I'll tell you what, the Leicester
What the hang
forwards...
time was on that kick. Here we go.
The Leicester forwards will enjoy Andy Good's work here. You know, it's not that long a hang time, but the ball has only gone about 22 metres or so, and he's given them every chance to get there. That's not the first time. They're getting a lot of restart ball back from Good's boot.
It's the magic 4 you're looking for, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you're not going too long, if it's a fairly narrow kick, then that's not the end of the world. That was a good kick.
Messi in midfield, hacked on by Henry Paul. Toddy's going after this with good pace, and Leon Lloyd was just coasting, hoping that Van der Westhuizen will get there, and he's made a mess of it too. Paramore, Buxton, it has gone forward surely now, and the referee blows.
Thank you, Paul.
One of the least distinguished moments in the match, this.
Not a comedy, but plenty of errors there. All round.
Time off.
A frenzy of fumbles.
Graham Rowntree, over 100 Premiership games for his club, over 150 league games in general, and very unlucky not to go to the World Cup. Somebody had to miss out in that department. It was Rowntree, and because of that, no World Cup medal.
Yeah, get that bind up, please. Okay. Time on.
No MBE,
Right, hold.
no open top bus, but he gave everything to England in the run-up and was singled out, along with Austin Heaney, holding the ball there by Clive Woodward in the aftermath. He was a contributor to it all. Anyway, here's a free kick to Gloucester, and McRae to Henry Paul, and now Jake Bourne. Got this penalty in the last few minutes. Can they nick another score before half-time and actually take the lead? They will consider that to be an excellent position. The way the game has gone, McRae's going for the drop goal. He turns away straight away again. He's in form, and he takes Gloucester into the lead just before the interval. And this is turning out to be a fascinating battle between these two famous old clubs. Duncan McRae, well, they can't afford to give him space like this.
No, it's a good clean ball from the Gloucester forwards, and they've given McRae the chance, and he said, I will take the territory and I'll take the 3 points. And Leicester have looked, well, the better team in this game, but they haven't got the lead. And we said that when they played and lost to Northampton.
Will Johnson there with a clattering tackle to force the knock-on from the restart.
Scrub it down. Green ball.
He is the younger brother of Martin, Will Johnson here. And for a good kick from Good. There he is, straight in there. Good chasing.
Once again, Andy Good is giving the rest of his teammates plenty of opportunity to play with the ball in hand. That must be the third restart this half off his boot that Leicester have won.
Stay back, 6. Great.
To Ilang, to Healy. God, I saw the cross. He was the man that kept him out the England squad.
Stay there,
The
please.
scrum half of the World
6.
Cup.
Stay put.
Now Good's dropped back a long way. Maybe he's thinking about a drop goal. He is. Andy Good. He's got right underneath that one. He's sliced it, but it could be an awkward bounce. Goodrich. He's put Leicester right in that corner. And Goodrich, well, where's the touch judge gone? He's gone almost level to where Goodrich kicked the ball. All the players and the referee were going up to the 22, but the touch judge says, no, I was in line. That was straight out.
Well, that's good fortune for Leicester. It was pretty negative play. Good just thought I'd go for the 3 points. It was a reasonably quick ball. It was a terrible drop goal. Now a chance. Back territory. Will Leicester go catch and drive?
Nigel Melville just passed in front of it. I don't think he was best pleased with that. He's back with Gloucester. And they've done well to get their hands on the ball at the line-out, but at the moment they've been driven over their own line. It's 5 metre scrum if they put it down. It's good work to get it back. McRae gets in. That's feverish play, but it's back to square one. And this is a very important spell of the match. Everybody knows it.
Well, Mark Cornwall did brilliantly. Martin Johnson was smart from this. Cornwall beats England's captain, all ends up there.
Come off, yeah, again.
Leicester then drive it, and they've driven themselves back into another position.
Richards throws, Kane takes this time. Gloucester will try and stand firm again, but this is dangerous, very dangerous when Leicester in this position. Neil back, normally the man to benefit on the end of the rolling maul. Gloucester, they muck it out, and Austin Healy takes his eyes off the situation, looks and drops the ball.
Right, that was fine. I was happy with that.
And now Gloucester will put in, and they've survived the line-out, they've survived the rolling maul. As we go into time added on in this first period, they lead by 2 points.
Just indication of Leicester's mortality at the moment. You normally expect them to take one of those opportunities. Back presents the ball, and Austin Healy just takes his eye off the ball and lets it go. He's seeing what's on for him, and the answer is nothing except to knock on. Quite a tussle he's having with Andy Gomersall at the moment, and frankly in the first half Gomersall has probably shaded that battle, even though Leicester have been going forward.
And Gomersall played very well last week when Gloucester was stuck in the mud at Kingsholm in their own 22 against the Harlequins, trailing 14-5. As Junior Paramore receives treatment, Gomersall was singled out by Dean Ryan, and with Nigel Melville, of course, the coaching staff at Gloucester, is the main reason why Gloucester got back into that match and eventually won it.
Now they're going to have to scrummage very well here. You'd be amazed if Roundtree and Morris didn't try and affect a big scrum here. But Gomersall's the man to control this at the base. He's got the free kick.
Engage,
that's mightily useful, isn't it?
Engage, square.
It's come at just the right point in the right area of the field. Darren Morris is fuming. Former Meath and Swansea man and Lion in 2001.
Don't, 5.
So that's totally relieved the pressure. And with Julian White out for, we reckon, about 7 or 8 weeks, Morris is going to become a very important member of this Leicester first team. Same can be said of Jim Richards. He's filling in again for Dorian West. And he's found Ben Kay, who's moved to the tail there. The step was from Good, and once more, Gloucester very quickly up in midfield, forcing the fly half, the Leicester fly half, to find his way out of the tightest of spots. But he did that, and Leicester get going with this drive. The steam comes off the pack.
Still bound. It's all right, nothing there, nothing there.
Roundtree, and Woodman all over him. Back from back to Healy, then Good, and Westhuizen. Looking, he's got it now. He's dropped once more. This time Leon Lloyd, referee playing advantage, and why not? Because Gloucester have men on this side, and Henry Paul knows that, and he's going quickly. Hand off from Henry Paul. Robert Todd trying to get there with him, still with Henry Paul. Garvey's got it now against Tuilangi. Andy Good gets back with a very important tackle, but Goodridge was inside. Great counter-attack this from Gloucester. Simpson Daniel needs to assess the options. Paramore's arriving, so is Brown. Oh, and Tuilangi went very high.
Hang on. Time off, please.
Well, surely that has to be a penalty, and if it's a penalty try. He was very high. Was Brown diving?
He was certain to score.
Time off, please, Chef. Hang on, guys, I've got a flag in first. Set the flag first. Wait, please, Henry.
Let's listen to this. Surely the touch judge
Okay.
is just confirming the high and dangerous challenge.
Leicester player, he was probably going to score a little bit nearer, but he still scored the try anyway.
The try is scored as well. Yeah, you've got a number for the green player?
I didn't actually, I was focusing on the try scorers.
Okay, thank you. Penalty, well, try stands. Okay, we've got a high tackle.
Oh, you are kidding.
We play advantage because the try is scored. The try stands, it's as simple as that.
Well, he actually got the ball down, so it's not a penalty try, which would have been, of course, underneath the posts. So a simple conversion would have been a guaranteed 2 points. But what about the decision just to stand with the try being scored? Stuart.
Thank you, Don.
First of all, it is a quite brilliant try from Gloucester. Henry Paul made that with a fantastic dart. good pass in from Simpson-Daniel, but at the end, it's quite contentious. But Tuolangi has gone so high there, and then the touch judge says, I couldn't see who it was. He's a metre away. I mean, is the touch judge running with his eyes shut? That's deprived Gloucester of 2 points, and that's wrong.
So Henry Paul misses the conversion, and although Alex Brown put the ball down to score the try, Gloucester will be wondering why more wasn't done to Henry Tuolangi for that high and dangerous challenge.
Well, we thought it was going to be tense, we thought it was going to be tight. It is. Leicester have looked a strong team for most of the game, but that Gloucester try showed just how sharp they are, and like against Northampton, Leicester are not showing great penetration. This is tight, and there's going to be a lot standing on this next 40 minutes, Miles.
Lead the way here at Welford Road. Leicester's aim is to start climbing the table after a couple of recent encouraging displays. Less convincing so far today. They need to improve. Gloucester ahead. Let's get back to Stuart and Miles.
Thanks, Simon. Well, surely top three would all be over for Leicester tonight if they didn't win this game. I think everyone in the ground realistically will know that. I do feel like a kid in the sweet shop for a game like this. Sell out at Welford Road, Leicester against Gloucester, and Gloucester getting the advantage at half-time, but Leicester certain to give everything as they try and hit back. 2 tries of high quality in the first half. The second one, the controversial one, scored by Alex Brown, and I don't think the referee, once the try had been scored, he can't give the penalty try, but of course the point is the sin bin, isn't it, Stuart?
Well, yes, because the law says you cannot right the injustice and not give them the 7 points, but what you can do is penalise the offender, Henry Tuolangi. It was a bad challenge. It should have been 10 minutes in the sin bin. It was weak officiating there, but it was a wonderful try. If the second half starts like the first half finishes, we'll have ourselves quite a game.
So Leicester start this second half with Andy Good.
Runaway tackle, good. Stay back foot, please. Your own back foot. Stay there, please. Stay. 9, stay.
But without Martin Johnson.
Wait, 7.
McRae clears. Don't think there's any injury from what we're hearing on the touchline. Lewis Deacon is on for Martin Johnson. Dean Richards, the man who made that call.
Well, he won't give much away. I know it's heresy to say, but I would say Martin Johnson did not have his best 40 minutes there. Beaten at the line out a few times, turned over once or twice. I can't believe that he's not feeling slightly under the weather, because you'd expect Johnson to sort of retaliate after a poor 40 with a massive second 40. That's the way of the man.
Healy. Good. That's gone very high indeed, and Goodridge nowhere near the ball in the end to try and take the catch, and nearly taken there by Ben Kay, who's coming through.
It's knocked on by Green first.
We'll say that Lewis Deacon's recent performances have led Dean Richards to say that he is now considering Deacon as a realistic rotating lock with Johnson and Kay, the finest locks in the land. It says something about Lewis Deacon. It says nothing about Johnson and Kay. It's more of a comment about Lewis Deacon and what he's achieved and could well achieve in the next few years of his career.
Good charge from Buxton there, front foot stuff for his team.
McRae, Simpson-Daniel is going after this, but
Given.
Nico van der Westhuizen calls for the mark. Could almost see his tonsils when he did it. Let everybody know. Due to leave the club at the end of the season to go back to play in Japan, Nico van der Westhuizen tries hand there. Lewis Deacon, part of this Leicester pack now.
Step out.
40 throws, and Deacon getting right involved in the action. Healy. Good. Goodridge again. No mark that time. And Leicester piling through. They're going to get a penalty as well. Austin Healy has gone behind Deacon, and they'll have a very simple chance here in front of the post. Andy Good will think about a quick one just in case Gloucester weren't alert, but they had men to his right in defence, and he settles for a kick which he can get in his sleep, I'm sure.
Here's Deacon on in the line out against Brown, who is very, very aggressive. Deacon does well there. And I must say, this penalty comes from an excellent kick from Good and a tremendous chase there. Just get the feeling there, Goodridge lost his bearings, lost his geography, because he'd actually come into his own 22 and he could have marked that.
Did have a lot on his plate at the time though, didn't he, with Ollie Smith arriving very quickly, and Andy Good due to get the 3 points. So it's Leicester getting that important first score of this second half. It's Leicester 10, Gloucester 14. Goodridge, the man in for Delport, didn't get a chance to make the mark, which you can of course make in the air now. You don't have to put the studs into the ground like the old days.
Goes down as an error.
Healy. The touch judges have been very conservative with their movement up the touchline today. No mercy shown.
If they can't identify a man from 1.5 meters, they're not going to be able to get the slide rule out, are they?
Good throw from 40, just lobbed the ball to the back of the line out. Try a piece, Smith for Leicester, Brown for Gloucester. A couple of drop goals also from Duncan McRae. He's making a hat-trick in this second half, but he goes for the grubber kick. Well picked up by Leon Lloyd, but he was always struggling there to get away from the tacklers. Now, has he released? The answer's yes. Healy again. He's trying to keep this one alive, giving back to something to chase, but it was too close to Goodridge. And Garvey had a good game until that point where he's just given the ball away. And Freddie Tuilangi doesn't capitalise like he should have done, and he knows it. Garvey's played very well. He's certainly been up for the physical as you would have to be against Freddie Tuilangi. You know what you're going to get. But he lost the ball there, but Gloucester come away now with Simpson-Daniel.
Well, I tell you, Ollie Smith tackled Garvey one side of the pitch and Simpson-Daniel the other. The Leicester centre having a big game.
Gloucester's turn to get a penalty. Everybody wants a word with the ref. Players and supporters.
I wouldn't say that Roy Maybank has engendered a mood of benign satisfaction. That's a terrible kick from Duncan McRae.
It was a penalty. Had he found touch, Gloucester would have been throwing into the line out. Van der Westhuizen's put that one dead. Well, you could say he was unlucky there because he caught it like nobody's caught a ball today. I mean, that went flying down the field, and the bounce was against him.
I am prepared to say that is unlucky. That's a wonderful strike, and then down the channel, and the bounce just kicks against him. Penalised for his own excellence that time. Now, can Gloucester capitalise? They'll be disappointed. Leicester got the first score, and they'll be feeling that if they can get more than one score up, they're really in with a big shout here.
Paramore's the number 8, but he is told to get back in the scrum by the referee. He was out with Gummersall. The referee wants it reset. So for a second time, Junior Paramore to Gummersall. Then McRae, Andy Good's tackle. Just Gummersall again. Henry Paul does that very well. Gummersall again. This is Todd. Oh, it's a good ball to Goodridge. Goodridge is slicing them apart there. Garvey trying to get in there. Just didn't arrive being winger, so close to being the extra man to make the difference. But the forwards are there now, along with Garvey. As Gloucester go for their second try. This one just after half-time, having scored just before the interval. Woodman acts as a scrum half. McRae again. Henry Paul. Long ball to Jake Moore. And ball inside to Paramore. It's given. It's a scintillating finish again from Gloucester. They've taken their chances.
It's the Gloucester pod system at its best. Get the big men wide and attack the backs. And Henry Paul, this time distribution brilliant, and it's two back row men. Bohr wide, the strength to stay in, and Paramore ain't going to be out-muscled by anyone. It's a beautiful pass from Henry Paul here, and then they've got the two big men wide. Bohr has the strength to ride the tackle, and Paramore just powers over. That is a superb finish after a great line from Goodridge earlier.
What was the best bit to that try? Well, you try and work it out. As you say, the Goodridge line that set it all off. And then what a pass from Henry Paul. And how about that for strength?
The whole package, Miles, the whole package. Beauty.
Everything. And Henry Paul completes the package with the conversion near the touchline. That's 7 more points to Gloucester. Paramore and Bohr right at the end made sure it counted.
But what about this pass from Henry Paul? It cuts out 3 men who are coming up to try and check it. Brilliant. Bohr and Paramore, a wonder score. And that really does make this a tasty game. And what a kick from Paul.
Yeah, won the conversion at the end as well, so it's an 11-point gap, and Leicester, well, they've got a chance here because that's gone out on the full from Andy Gummersall. Doesn't normally make that mistake with his box kicking.
Time off, please, Chef.
Paramore goes down and waits for a bit of treatment. But he gave Leicester the treatment, didn't he, in the corner?
Played well today, hasn't he? 35-year-old Paramore, but there's no sign of him slacking off at all. I mean, I think the guys in the studio at half-time said Gloucester really have been aggressive up front, and they have been. They've been muscular. They look a team who are chasing a top 3 spot. This try is beautiful. The pass here, Miles, that's class.
19 tries he scored before today for Gloucester in the Premiership. That's a lot for a forward, but just one this season. He's had this broken arm. No sign of it there. Ollie Smith, the try scorer for Leicester in this match. And that was a beauty, but for Leicester now it seems a long time ago. They need to dig deep and go for half an hour here to save their Premiership season. Andy Good with a drop goal. Well, see what they were trying to do. They were just trying to nick away at that lead, and 3 more points would have been very useful, but it just didn't seem the right position. Good was falling off it. Well,
that's his 4th attempt, though. That's 4 pieces of good possession wasted. They've got to be more positive than that. That's a nervous,
lack of ambition, wasn't it?
And a nervous team.
Garvey knocks on. Now these little errors might hurt Gloucester, because this is an area of the game, or a spell of the match. They've just scored, got an 11-point lead, and had Gummersall been more precise with his kicking, had Garvey not dropped it on, if they go on to lose this match, they'll look back at this 2 or 3 minute period and say, had we just been tighter then, we could have closed Leicester out. But it's allowing Leicester back in.
And this Leicester team is not one that is overflowing with self-belief. Gloucester mustn't help Leicester get back into this game, because the crowd will lift them if the Tigers do their part, but they've got to strike first.
Good to Ollie Smith, away from Gummersall, and almost McRae. Healy to Henry Tuilangi, but unlucky to be on the field. Healy again to Jaco van der Westhuizen. Buxton across to make a very important tackle there. Neil back, as always, across to make sure the ball comes back to Leicester. Holding on to it a bit. Back with Good. And then Deacon.
Gloucester are forcing Leicester backwards at the moment.
Well, it's more towards the halfway line than the try line, but not now. As Andy Good goes through, and Baxter has a juggle. Has he got enough to get away? Wasn't held. Scores. Neil Baxter crosses that try line again. And that's just come at the right point for the Leicester Tigers. Nearly lost it, held on, and then he wasn't held. That was the key moment, and was allowed to get away to get across the line. There's the juggle now. Tackle comes in.
Not hold.
And just about getting the ball over that line.
No doubt about that. That's a beautiful break from Andy Good that makes that try. Simpson-Daniel in with a tackle, but he doesn't hold him, and he gets there for the score. Gomersall can't do anything about it. But Andy Good made a lovely little outside break. For once, coming onto the ball, not looking for the drop goal, looking for the offensive play. Superb stuff from the Leicester fly half.
Now can Good do what Henry Paul did?
Take it for...
With the difficult conversion. And the answer is no. But Leicester are back in the match, no doubt about that. Leicester 15, Gloucester 21. Try scorer Neil Baxter. He's been a finisher in the Heineken Cup against the Dragons, 2 in the Premiership, 1 in the Cup, and this one created by Andy Good, no doubt about that. Superb play from the fly half, and well finished by Baxter.
Well, pace for Baxter, but that one really did belong to Andy Good. Second half coming to life. We've got a good game on now, and Leicester, the positivity pays off.
Healy. Good. Alex Brown is a big man to clear, and he did. It's probably worth just going. Touch judges stayed near the 22 again. Maybe it's magnetic and being drawn there.
Perhaps he's struggling with fitness, can't get out of that 22.
But it's worth going back to that point. The knock-on from Garvey, the missed kick from Gomersall. In a way, it was a try of Gloucester's own making, that Leicester score. Now, how will Gloucester respond? The signs are that they'll respond very well indeed. And this one is wide open. McRae. Todd. Ball deflected out. Robert Todd, who's keeping out Terry Fanaloa. Scored versus Leicester this season, the meeting at Kingsholm, which Gloucester won with ease, 24 points to 3. In fact, you rarely remember a more inept performance from a Leicester side than what we saw on that day.
No, they were clueless that day, weren't they? But this is a very different Leicester team, and they happen to be, because I think Gloucester are playing better today than they did that day themselves.
Neil back. Gomersall thought about it, but he couldn't make it, and back made sure that was his. The captain. Good. Oh, he's gone a very long way. But the touch judge hasn't.
The Leicester crowd do like to have a go at the touch judge, and that's about between the 10 and the 22. At 10 metres stripped off it, I'd say.
It went out about where that white dot is behind the referee now, and the line out was nearer the 10-metre line.
Yeah, the L of the Alliance and Leicester, the second one, there it is. Still, Leicester's got the ball.
Healy. Good. Leon Lloyd, awkward ball for him to take. Van der Vesthuizen tries to make the most of it, comes off Simpson-Daniel, and Baxter does well. That could have gone anywhere. That was a long bell time. To get a penalty. Hands in that ruck. Van der Vesthuizen. This is starting to open up now. It's good from both sides. Freddie Tuilangi, temperature rises. Not least for those who have to tackle him. Marcel Garvey, the man who does that again. He's done that repeatedly today and done it well. Andy Good with the confidence of that break. So there's an advantage for pulling back on Austin Healy. It will be a penalty. Neil back. Almost deliberately giving a poor pass there. A la George Gregan. Penalty Leicester. This is the Garvey tackle.
Well, he's done very well. He's got the better of Henry Tuilangi so far in the game. Both Gloucester wingers are going very low. Freddie, of course. Neither are tall wingers, Simpson-Daniel or Garvey, but they're both going low and driving up in the tackle. But the penalty was a ragged offence, and Leicester can claw their way right back into this game. Now, this goes over just 3 points in it. But, I repeat, This is not a Leicester team who are overflowing with confidence. This game was very, very tense.
Played very well against Leeds the other day, scoring 5 tries. They didn't reach those heights today. Of course, they were nilled at Northampton a couple of weeks ago. Andy Gould. He's made sure they haven't been nilled today. One of the factors creating a try, landing the kicks. Ollie Smith with the other score. So 3 points between the teams. It's got everything. 2 tries apiece. But they won't be thinking about 4 try bonus points. They'll just be thinking about victory, these 2 sides. And victory for either of them is by no means certain. Straight out from the restart, but Leicester have taken it, and they've gone from the line out. But the scrum have been called by their captain, Neil Back.
Well, I think Austin Healey might have words with his skipper there, because Healey and co had some numbers there.
Hang on, guys, hang on, no ball.
It was a very interesting attack developing down that 5-metre channel.
Quite a few of the Gloucester players, they'd heard the call as well, and they committed themselves to the emerging scrum. Have to build that into any assessment. Oh, Goodrich. Good recovery.
Come back, kick, come in.
Excellent kick. Offers a lot of promise, doesn't he, John Goodrich?
In a set, please.
Ben Kay.
A man who's fulfilled a lot of that promise.
In a set, guys.
Good game today he's had, not just line-outs either, round the park.
Hook up, stay there, hook up.
Richards throws, 2K. Dragged down when he was in the air. Morris didn't like it. It's Darren Morris. No penalty though. Up it goes from Andy Goode. Leicester were onside. They were right in line with the kicker there. They knew what was coming. The move had been called. Good defence though from Gloucester. McRae. This is tight.
Yep.
Leicester's next 2 Premiership matches will be in February. They're away from home
Time off, please.
with Sale Sharks and London Irish.
Number 5.
So they need to
13 and 5. Please replace
capitalise
them.
on
13 and 5,
this
change. Gloucester.
home fixture today at Welford Road.
Yeah, number 5.
Gloucester making 2 changes here. Terry Fanalou is coming on, and Adam Eustace too. Mark Cornwall's going off, so that's a change in the second row. Eustace, a former back row player, can cover that position too, but he's going into the second row,
Nothing yet, no time on yet.
which is where he normally plays now. Robert Todd is the man who's gone off for Terry Fanalou. That's a straight swap too in the centre.
Nothing tactical at all about either of those substitutions. That's fresh legs in the second row and extra power behind the scrum.
Good. Trying to play the territory game that Dowie was wanting him to at half-time.
A little shallow, that kick. Just off a Gloucester ball. In a reasonably comfortable position.
Saw there Martin Johnson in the unusual position of being track-suited at this stage of the game. Inside the final quarter then. And Gloucester with their strong forwards making a real impact. Henry Paul, but a good bounce. The scurrying Van der Westhuizen.
Wait for it. Well, they weren't too dismissive of that decision not to go 40 or 50 metres.
Hang on.
No doubt the touch judges can't win now. The game is up for them. Played 3 games, as you see that. World Cup for South Africa. Van der Westhuizen looked very good when he played. Johnson shouting his orders still. Dean Richards.
Steve, yes, got a bit of bloody. Oh, okay,
Well, it's such an important last 20 minutes for both these teams. Gloucester mid-table, but well within striking distance of the top three, especially if they can win today. And Leicester, as we've said all through the programme, defeat today will effectively eliminate them from any hope of regaining the championship.
Well, Dean Richards said before the match they would need so much luck for it all to happen anyway. They would need a miracle if they were to lose today. Well, Martin Johnson's coming back on for Ben Kay. So it wasn't a tactical substitution, was it? Blood injury for Kay.
And these parts, that's the first sign of a miracle. Martin Johnson coming back on when he was substituted.
Question being asked, why was Johnson off the field? Gummissel, McRae, Fanalua. Gummissel again. Brown, good hands from him, and then Goodrich takes them on. Good pace from the fullback. Trying to use his strength at the end. Leicester had men there too, and it was important that they had two. But will they be stretched now as Gloucester slinging out between Paul and Fanalua? Hint of crossing in midfield, but Gloucester still have it, and it's Gummissel again. That's a poor pass, didn't find the intended target.
Well, once again, John Goodrich's lines in attack were quite sublime. Great pace there. That was wonderful work on the short side from Gloucester. Leicester stretched almost to breaking point. Lovely hands from Brown. And then Baxter leaves the inside, and Goodrich has the pace to go. Great attack.
Healy. Good.
Hang on a sec, hang on.
Garvey. Goodrich. Well, that's worked out. Look at that.
That's a superb kick. Starting to play really well, the fullback, and started to get the breaks too. Now, Gloucester will say here's an opportunity again.
So as we wait for this very important line out, let's take a look at what's coming up next week. And you'll like this. Live Heineken Cup Rugby on Sky Sports with, on the Friday night, Leicester versus Sale Sharks. Sky Sports 1. It's a very close group. Toulouse versus the Ospreys, followed by Gloucester Munster next Saturday. It all starts at 2:30 on Sky Sports 2, and then on Sunday, Ulster versus Leicester, followed by London Wasps versus Celtic Warriors. It's all next week now. Johnson. And then Healy breaking the offside line, Gloucester. And because Johnson was a tactical substitution, it must have been for him to come back on the field. He wasn't injured. We thought he had to be injured to be taken off because he is Martin Johnson.
He'll feel he'll have a point to prove, having been subbed because he wasn't playing well enough today. He's got 14 minutes plus injury time. And it is a question now of will Gloucester have the nerve to try and win this, or will they try and hold on and defend? It's a dangerous policy, the latter one.
Healy. And the good has sliced that one. Right out of the drizzle and the misty skies, and two knock-ons. Just a scrum.
Very
Free
important.
ruling out the offside.
Very important for Gloucester's half-backs now to try and control the shape of this game, the territory. Gomesel going well, and it's a change of direction.
Henry Paul leading that. Goodridge, Simpson, Daniel. He went for the direct route that time, trying to blast his way through Neil Baxter. And it's not a bad result for his side. It's a penalty for Gloucester in a situation which Henry Paul could make look very easy indeed, judging by what he did from the conversion on this side. But he was much closer to the touchline. Okay, he was closer to the post as well, but Henry Paul won't be fazed by this angle. This could be a vital kick. Take it to 24-18. Ben Kay is coming back out of the blood bin. Referee's seen it. He's hardly made that cut up, has he?
This is a very important kick.
Massive in the context of the game as Henry Paul just misses.
Time off, please. Time off, please.
Ben Kay comes back. Martin Johnson returns to the bench.
Take your time.
Andy Good. Gomesel. Oh, where's that going? It's dangerously close to going dead. Well, Andy Gomesel has been lucky there. No doubt about that. He was moving very close to the edge with that kick. I'm happy with that strike. Andy Good. Well, he's going long. No intention of taking that one close to the Gloucester line. McRae coming outside of his 22. Both sides a little tentative at this stage of the match. The game is there for the winging. Richards. Good. It's a poor pass from the far half. Somehow made its way to the winger. 32 Ilangi. Morris is there, so is Will Johnson. Healy. Good again. Well, how about that? That's much better. And maybe the two sides now will stop this almost shadow boxing and get down to the real McCoy now inside the final 10 minutes. It's been a strange 5 minutes or so, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I think Neil explained a large part of it. Start of the second half was very good. Both teams tentative now. Leicester determined to establish position, but Gomesel and McRae just try and drive them back, and that's not really good enough. Duncan McRae only made 5 metres from where the line out was thrown in, so that's a big win for Leicester.
So Richards checks the orders. Austin Healy too. Hooker, scrum half, jumpers, all trying to work in unison here. Goes to Deacon. Healy. Will Johnson. Henry to Ilangi. Morris drives over the top, didn't really stay on his feet. Lost the ball anyway. McRae, Henry Paul. Good was trying to get at him, nothing McRae could do about it. Wasn't obstruction. Good kick by Henry Paul too. Another big crowd here at Welford Road today. This match sold out a month before the city of Leicester knew that the World Cup was going to be paraded. They really need a bigger ground, and they're going to try and work on that over the next few months. That's not straight.
World Cup victories will not sustain this local and fanatical crowd should they lose today, because Leicester's season will be nearing domestic bankruptcy. They'll have Europe to go for, and it's a tough group they're in there. This is just critical 10 minutes for England's biggest club.
Well, they'll keep coming, but they won't be happy with their league position. It will all be down to Europe if Leicester lose this. Mathematically possible to get into the top three, but surely they would need too much to go their way, and then wouldn't be getting the wins themselves anyway to put themselves in that top three position. Richards again. Need to avoid the not straight scenario. They need to take this chance now. Off Deacon to Kay. Lost a back row waiting for him.
Stay. Go.
Healy. Good.
Well, for Gloucester now, it's absolutely imperative that they maintain their discipline, that they play the game in Leicester's territory, that they don't give Leicester easy chance to go for drop goals or penalties. And Brown, he's done his part again, soaring in the set piece, and he's been excellent around the paddock.
When Ollie Smith scored that try, Leicester seemed to be moving in the perfect direction. But Gloucester have shown so much character since then. And plenty of skill too. Goodrich. Baxter, knock on. That could be very costly indeed. And the silence of the response from the crowd summing that moment up. Leicester make a double change. Will Skinner's coming on, wearing number 16. Number 17 is hooker George Shooter. He replaces Richards. And Will Johnson is the other man to go off in the back row. Can they create a change on the scoreboard? It's stacking against Leicester here now as Gloucester have the ball with just over 5 minutes of normal time to play.
Just think that John Goodrich kick was one of his poorer efforts this afternoon, but Baxter knocked it on, and it was a bad knock on, and it just sums up the tentativeness about Leicester. You talked about that Ollie Smith try. Old Leicester would have said, right, now we can go, now we believe in ourselves. They never, you haven't had that feeling that there's a confidence that we're going to win.
It wasn't the launch pad it should have been, and to put this into context, Gloucester have won just one match away from home in their last 8, and they have won 1 out of the last 12 on this ground, and that was in the now defunct Cheltenham and Gloucester Cup in 1998, when, quite frankly, wasn't the first teams on show. So Gloucester, their record here recently has been appalling. Their record away from home, far from champion form, but they're winning here today against the Leicester side. But it's not won yet. 3 points only between the two teams. That's out on the full. He's given the ball back to the opposition from John Goodrich, and Leicester have gone quickly from that line out, and they get the ball with Freddie Tuilangi as it came towards him via Jake Ball. Got a stroke of luck there. Good.
Again, the pass was above Good's. Healy's service has been poor today.
And Gloucester have responded to that with a feverish effort from their back row. They've been up in the face of Good all match. Now Marcel Garvey has made a mistake here, putting that one out on the full. And remember when Leicester scored before in this half, it was on the back of a couple of glaring Gloucester errors. Will it happen again?
Some of their younger players, Goodrich with one out on the full, and then Marcel Garvey, they're getting tentative. Garvey's got the strength to come in field and wait for his support and let the kickers kick. That's an error.
Good to Ollie Smith. There was a touch of the Llanelli Leicester semi-final in the Heineken Cup a couple of years ago, the way Gloucester played those last 2 plays. They looked nervous, they looked as if they wanted the whistle to go now. Leicester want the time that's available, every minute of it. Henry Tuilangi back in their own half again though. Healy. Good. He's trying to create a position inside the Gloucester 22, but at the moment he's feeding the back 3. And John Goodridge has the left boot to take his side out of trouble, and Leicester will have to strike from distance again, and that clock is now so much against them.
Well, if you're going to kick with 3 minutes left and you're 3 points down, you've got to kick a lot better than that, because Goodridge by and large has been pretty assured with his kicking from deep.
Perfect. On, I agree. 6 to go.
Odds are that Ben Kay's going to be the man here. You can see Kay now with Johnson off, talking to the forwards there, urging them on. He knows how important this is.
Hearing 3 to 4 minutes to play to add on to normal time. So we should finish around about the 83-84 mark. That's what's happened in the match. 2 tries each. First one from Leicester seemed rosy then, but then Gloucester getting that all-important score just before half-time. They didn't get the man in the sin bin, but they got the try, and they came out in the second half, scored another super score too, and then Leicester almost immediately hauling themselves back into the game. But the last score on 57 minutes, that penalty.
We've been here so many times over the years that you don't write Leicester off, but this is as important a 6 minutes as they've had.
Knocked on by Eustace. Advantage played. Healy was looking for the deliberate knock-on. Well, it's over now, so it was just a knock-on. Good puts it high. He thought it was going to be a penalty, I think, Andy Good. He was looking at the ref, expecting that to come. Well, it didn't, and Eustace hacks on, and Skinner goes back, and Leicester are where they don't want to be. They've got a penalty.
Well, Gloucester will accept that penalty against them, though, won't they? 80 metres back downfield.
Pushing off the ball. Another 10 metres.
Well, they don't want to do anything stupid, like get a yellow card and lose a man for the last 4 minutes.
Good is still debating with the referee, and I think that debate is about the knock-on back inside the Gloucester half. We're on a halfway line, wasn't it? Leicester were under the impression they were going to get a penalty. Didn't hear the referee say penalty.
2 balls. Hang on, 2 balls.
Healy. Good against that inside ball. Neil back. The captain, Healy again. Roundtree. Oh, he's lost it. Turned over. But it's a penalty.
You're on the ground.
For hands in the ruck. Now that is a very big decision. Graham Roundtree's been hurt in the process. We will need to see that one again.
It's a big call there. It's a great tackle, first of all. Jake Bour's on the floor. Roundtree holds it. It goes forward. There's no hand there. That is a disgraceful decision. There. Watch this now. Graham Roundtree has tackled. Bour is not playing the ball. Roundtree's holding the ball. It squirts out of his hand.
Please talk to them.
I'm afraid the assessors will look at that, and I'll have to have a word with Roy Maybank. He's saying, please talk to your players. That is awful. How can you give that in this situation?
On me, please.
How can you give that penalty?
Time on, please.
Would he have given that penalty at Kingsholm? I'll give you the answer. Awful decision.
We've got 4 now. The clock's running, obviously, because of time, yeah.
And it's a decision which has given Leicester and Andy Good, the man that's returned to the club, a chance to level the scores.
I mean, Miles, Roundtree holds the ball there. Jake Bour is playing the tackle. He's on his feet, and the ball squirts out of Roundtree. It's not even on the floor. In no way, shape or form can that be a penalty. In no way.
Andy Good then to level the scores.
Well, one can
only knew straight away from the reaction of the crowd. Those behind the post had seen it. It's a miss from Good, and has justice been done?
Well, at this moment, and he's saying, Henry, be quiet, please. But it's bad refereeing that is upsetting players.
No, it's Michael.
If Leicester can win from here, that's absolutely fine. But to have drawn a game with such an appalling decision going in their favour would have been cruel.
Still time to play here. Woodman. There's a rock. Paramore leaves it to Gummersall. Then it's McRae to Henry Paul. And the Westhazen catches. Austin Healy. Well, Harry didn't knock that on. Did go backwards, and Leicester, well, they're going backwards as well here. They're penned inside their own half again. They've got a long way to go. Andy Good, Ollie Smith, Morris looking for support, comes from Andy Good again, to Ilangi, Baxter going with him. In comes Paramore. Now he came in at the side there, that was a penalty, no doubt about that. Picked up by Buxton, and the referee eventually does blow.
Not releasing the man, preventing the ball coming away.
Preventing fair release, the reason for the penalty in the end, but there's no doubt there was another opportunity for the referee to give a decision Leicester's way at that breakdown. Andy Good, not even he will be able to kick from 8 metres inside his own half at the post to level the match, so he goes for the kick to the corner, and he hasn't found the corner. He's found the hands, the safe hands of John Goodrich, who kicks it back, and Leicester again are deep inside their own half. Jacco van der Westhuizen. And this must just about be the final play. Good, they've got numbers this time. Good trying to go through. Ollie Smith has gone forward. It's knocked on.
No.
And the players have now heard the whistle.
Move forward there, guys. No.
And the key thing will be the referee's watch. We will play this scrum. You're man of the match.
Come off, please, Jeff.
Well, I think the Gloucester forwards have been excellent, and I must say, overall, I think they've deserved this game. Paramore has been
Yeah, I agree.
a paragon of virtue for them. Alex Brown has been a presence throughout this game, but I think in a tight game that hasn't been a classic, Henry Paul's killer break for the first try and his sublime distribution for the second has turned this match. Henry Paul is the man of the match. I think he's done a couple of things brilliantly, and that's turned it.
Inside the final minute, confirmed by the officials. You probably heard there on the microphone.
Come up, guys. The front rows will come up. We'll do it again.
So it's a second scrum, but Gloucester have the ball and they can close the match out here. All they need to do is retain possession, and the points are theirs.
Use it!
McRae.
Smart kid.
They haven't conceded a try inside the final 15 minutes of a match this season, Gloucester. They're so fit and strong, and it shows. And it goes out.
No, not yet.
But the whistle doesn't go
Quickly.
just yet.
Quick.
Leicester have one chance, and this is it.
Boys, get it, drop.
And it could be the end of their top 3 hopes if they lose
That's all right, you have
tonight.
numbers.
Shooter will throw. Kay misses it. It comes through to Jake
It's
Ball.
over.
Exasperation for Leicester, but not from Gloucester, who say, OK, we'll go and win this now, absolutely for certain. Gummersall to McRae. McRae goes through to score to confirm the Gloucester win, and probably confirm as well that Leicester won't finish in the top 3 this season. Gloucester have done a job at Welford Road, which they haven't been able to say for so long. McRae the try scorer, and what about that from the Gloucester pack right at the end of the match. Leicester can't quite believe it, but they better believe it. They've lost at Welford Road again, and that could be curtains for them in the Premiership this season.
Tigers treated like cubs there. The Gloucester pack just smashed them 20 metres backward. They manhandled them. Leicester were all over the place. It was a lovely change of angle. Gummersall and McRae, smart all day, have put the boot into Leicester, and the Tigers have not played with conviction. There's been a brilliant try from Ollie Smith, but Gloucester have deserved this game. Gloucester now are banging contention for the all-important top 3, and Leicester now are looking to get into the playoffs, and they do not look on this form a good team.
Henry Paul with a conversion. We know this will be the last piece of action today. Henry Paul. It deflects over to give Gloucester 2 more points, but the game was already up for Leicester. Gloucester have come to Welford Road with a poor away record this season, and they will return back to Kingsholm with victory. And for all Gloucester fans, that will sound so sweet. You can see the delight on the faces of everyone connected with the Gloucester club, and the annoyance and disappointment there for all to see in the Leicester ranks. Jake Moore had a brief spell at Leicester, and he's come back and he's led his side to what could be a crucial win in the context of the season, and the Leicester supporters are left to reflect on this. And it's going to come down surely now to the Heineken Cup for the Leicester Tigers this season, and they go to play Ulster away at Ravenhill next weekend. What a match that is for Leicester. Gloucester, they go into their match against Munster at Kingsholm. Cockahoo. What a story this is.
Well, and on the evidence of this game, Leicester are going to find it very hard to win in Ulster. They have to be underdogs. Gloucester was stronger up front. Gloucester had the savvy, they had the killer precision behind, and this is not the Leicester team of 2 years ago. This is a tired Leicester team who are losing all self-belief. Crisis time at Welford Road.
And the lasting image of that match, surely the way the forwards, the Gloucester forwards, ripped into Leicester in the final minute to make their point and take the points. Duncan McRae, the man who scored that try, is with Graham.
Miles, thank you very much indeed. Duncan, I guess from your reaction after scoring that last try, I know the answer to this question, but how good does this win feel?
Yeah, to be honest, it's more relief. We've been in so many close games this year, and we've come out on the wrong end of it. And you know, we've tried to play a different way today. We wanted to play expansive, which is the way back to the we used to play last year, and you know, we're able to just sneak away with the win, so we're wrapped.
Where did that win come from this week, Duncan? Because if you looked at the form lines coming in, Leicester looked to have turned a corner, were playing well at home. You hadn't won away much this season. Was anything different this week in the build-up that produced that win today?
I think we really put our heads down and decided we're going to take the game to Leicester. We weren't going to come here and try and play them their own game, which for the last 5 or 6 years they've been unbeatable at. So we tried to play a bit different, and we scored a few good tries, in trying conditions, but we're just stoked to win.
This hasn't always been a happy hunting ground for you personally. How good does it feel from your point of view, from a personal point of view, to come here and put one over a Welford Road crowd?
Yeah, as I said, we're just middle of the table at the moment. We're just trying to climb the ladder, and that's 4 points in the bag, and we've got Europe for the next month, so it's great to come off a win in the Premiership with a 4 weeks hiatus. So.
All right, Duncan, thanks for your time. Cheers.
Some happy Cherry and Whites players. Leicester